see everybody this morning, and I'm interested to hear the presentation that we're going to hear. Thank you.
Designate someone after you, Sister Nancy.
Okay. Ms. Page.
Ms. Page, if you're available, could you check in, please?
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here this morning and looking forward to listening to the presentation. Hope everyone is doing well.
Good to hear your voice, Ms. Page. Kalu Ngele, I hope that I got that right.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. And you?
Good. Glad to have you, brother. We're going to ask you to let us know what your affiliation is after we get everybody checked in, okay?
Yeah. Good everyone. Dr. Ford invited me, so I'm with Dr. Ford.
Outstanding. Glad to have you, brother. Did I pronounce that name correctly?
Yes, Kalu Ngele.
I think I got close.
Yes.
All right. Dr. Sunshine Silas, would you give us a check-in, introduce yourself, let us know what your affiliation is with this organization today?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Sunshine Silas, founder and CEO for the Refocus Africa Group. I've invited by Dr. Ford and Dr. Lisa.
Thank you, Dr. Silas. We're glad to have you with us this morning. We appreciate you for joining us. Dr. Lisa, why don't you go ahead and check in and let us know your affiliation, who brought you on this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Lisa Sylvester Coney, and I am the co-founder and president of Refocus Africa, invited to this call by Mr. Omowale, dear friend and colleague of more than 15 years. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Mr. Roosevelt Tarleson, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Would introduce yourself and let us know who invited you to this meeting this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Paul invited me, and I'm Roosevelt Tarleson, and I'm a farmer, and in California, in United States, and a farmer from Liberia, from Africa. I'm all of that, and as I'm excited to meet these great people here as I listen, and I want to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Firefly's AI note is Note Taker Destiny. All right, who is 713-516-5585? Could you chime in, let us know who you are, please?
Good morning. My name is Linda Superville. I was invited by Mr. Omowale, and I am the chairperson for International Youth Friendship and Development Programs. I hope to benefit greatly from this conference, and I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining, Ms. Superville.
Yeah, Ms. Superville, you've been on here with us before, haven't you?
Yes, I have, and thank you, Ms. Brandley. Ms. Brandley, I may disconnect and reconnect through my other Zoom to see if I can add my video, but I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you, sister. Did we miss anybody? Dr. Ford, why don't you check in, brother?
Okay, good morning, everybody. My word for today is mercy. Please have mercy on us. I'm not going to be selfish this morning,
Amen.
but I'm here in Houston and very, very elated to be invited. And I must admit, actually, it was Dr. Lisa that was invited. She's been under the weather. In fact, she's been out of the country. She just got back a couple of days ago, came back and got sick real quick. So I'm actually a stand-in. So I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you, Dr. Ford. We're looking forward to hearing what you got to say. Did we miss anybody? We still don't know who Note Taker Destiny is.
I think that would be good to know who our AI friend is.
Yeah, that would be great to know. But yeah.
But I think we missed Dr. Bob. I don't think we got Joetta Stevenson on. So a few more people to check in.
Yeah, Joetta Stevenson, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. My computer for some reason won't pick up internet. I've been battling with that this morning. So I'm doing great. Happy to wake up.
Does everybody?
Happy to continue with the rest of my day. I thought being on this call would be like something refreshing, which I normally need first thing in the morning. Even though it's 11 o'clock, I still need it now. And so I think it'll inspire me.
That's good. Good to have you, sister. Let me see.
Dr. Bob?
Good morning. Yes, dear. Oh, this is another.
Dr. Bob Randall.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate being here and interested in hearing this presentation. Long interest in Africa and so on. So be interested.
So there are 3 Bobs on here. We got to be real careful.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead. My check-in word today is two, gratitude and resilience.
All right.
Oh, I didn't know we had a check-in word, but I'd like to check in with a word.
Go ahead, sister.
My check-in word for today is emerge. We need to come out from anything that's holding us back and move forward. And sometimes the only way to get out is to come in, is to get out. I'd like to emerge.
Emerge. That's good. That's good, sister.
It's a great word.
Yeah. You know what, Sister Miss Brantley, I think when I first signed on, there was a notification. I think we have an automatic AI associate with us now. I don't know how we're going to get rid of it, but.
No, it's not on there. I took it off.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's me typing the words in.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sister. We definitely did not want to be invaded by some outside source. All right. If everybody's checked in, it's good to see everybody. Again, Mr. Omowale is out of town today. He had a funeral to go to in Louisiana. We want to send up traveling grace and prayers for his travel there and back. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Brantley, and she'll get us started, and we'll be about our Saturday of sunshine and information. Dr. Talupe. Dr. Dawudu.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Very well. Good morning, sir.
Good to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. All right, Miss Brantley, you got it.
All right. Well, thank you, Brother Johnson. I know we have Miss Carlisha just joined in, and I don't want to overlook her before we go on with this presentation. Ms. Bradley, would you like to go ahead and give your one-word check-in or say anything for the grade of today?
Sure. I missed what the instructions were, but I'm Carlisha Bradley. I'm the founder and executive director of Women Empowering Nations.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley, for joining us. Today, well, this morning, we have such a great presentation by Dr. Robert L. Ford, which is a chairman of the board of Refocus Africa, Africa's Brain Bank STEM coordinator, CEO of DRF Industries LLC, and Zoetic Global LLC advisor. Bob is a Houston Cities Inc., Sister Cities International Liberia country representative, and a member of Houston Luanda Sister City Association and Houston Abu Dhabi Sister City Association. He is a vice president for Sister Twin Cities for the World Conference of Mayors and William R. Tolbert Baptist University Board of Trustees members in Monrovia, Liberia. He is a Rotarian and a member of TSU and the Serb College of Science and Engineering advisory boards. He recently stepped down as a board secretary for the TSU Earl Carlis Institute for Legal and Social Police after more than 10 years. Bob is an international consultant, having conducted STEM projects in Liberia, South Africa, the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, Taiwan, Germany, Brazil, Belize, and Tanzania. He has studied STEM education programs in China, Singapore, and Malaysia. Ford earned a BS degree in chemistry from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a PhD in physical chemistry from Purdue University at Lafayette, Indiana. Dr. Ford was a chief research officer and faculty member at Southern University, Fort Valley State University, and Texas Southern University. He founded and directed the Center for Energy and Environmental Studies at Southern University and the Center for STEM Education and Outreach at Texas Southern University. Bob was recently recognized as a distinguished alumnus by Purdue University and Southern University, and he was recently appointed by Centennial Honorary Consul by the President of Liberia. I want to welcome our guest, Dr. Robert Ford.
Well, thank you very much. I got tired listening to that, as a matter of fact, but I'm very pleased to be here. And my whole purpose is to share a little of my experiences in Africa. And before I get started, I do want to point out that I thought I was the oldest person in Houston who was interested in Africa. That was until I ran into Omar Wali after about 5 years, had not seen him since before the pandemic. And then he introduced me to this group. So I'm in good company, and I'm glad to know that younger people like Dr. Sunshine and Dr. Lisa will be uniting with those of us who we consider to be elder. So I'm very pleased to be here. I'm going to share my screen and see if we can talk about what my interests have been over the last several years relative to Africa. So I'm going to share the evolution of my interest in Africa, beginning with the Gambia in 1992. I went to the Gambia to study and determine the feasibility of using groundnut shells for energy production. At that time in 92, the country of Gambia had a total of 13 megawatts of power. At 6 p.m., everything went off. It just did not have enough energy. And we determined that this process of using groundnuts could work. However, a coup occurred a couple of years after we got started, I got to be good friends with the Minister of Agriculture. So we never got the project running. And then the next time I got to the continent was in 1997. Some of you may remember Dr. Leonard Spearman. He was president of Texas Southern. When I met him initially, he was a professor at Southern University. And then I ran into him at a conference in North Carolina. He told me about his program, Renewable Energy for African Development. I convinced him to take some students the next time he had a delegation, and he did. He invited me to bring a student from Southern, because at that time I was still at Southern University. So we went to initially Cape Town, and the next year we went to Durban. So I really got to love South Africa. In 2004, I got involved in an energy business development in Senegal. And in 2006, because I was involved with a program called GLOBE, Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment, we trained about 70 teachers and higher education faculty members in GLOBE, a curriculum for K-12 students, Earth and Environmental Science program. Back to South Africa in 2008, because by then, GLOBE was having what was referred to as a global learning expedition. It really was an opportunity for students to share their research. Senegal again in 2013. That time I didn't have to spend my money. I was funded by the Louisiana SBA STEP initiative. It's a trade mission focused on small businesses. South Africa, 2015 again, 3 trips during that year. Got involved with something called the Global Business Roundtable. Got to meet folks from around Africa, and that's really where my interest was peaked. Got to Liberia in 2021, never really understanding the relationship between Liberia and the US. And once I did, I became addicted to Liberia. Went back again in 2022. This was the year of the bicentennial. And I was appointed by the president of the country to be a bicentennial honorary consul. Tanzania, 2022-23, 3 trips. That's when we really got.
Next to the Jabra Speak 510, go to the Bluetooth menu on your smartphone and select it from the list.
We got really involved in, did I change pages? Let me go back. Yeah, Tanzania, Refocus Africa was my focus when I went. My recent activities include Sister Cities International, where I served, and it was described as part of this bio, Houston Rwanda Sister City Association. I'm assuming most people on this call would know about Sister Cities Association, right? There are 19 sister cities in Houston, and they operate under Sister Cities of Houston. I'm on that board, but I'm also a member of the Houston Abu Dhabi Sister City Association. And for 2 years, we've been trying to get the Houston Monrovia Sister City Association recognized by the city of Houston, and we've been unsuccessful so far. Started getting involved about 1.5 years ago with the World Conference of Mayors, whose agenda has now turned almost exclusively to Africa. I'm now vice president for Sister/Twin Cities Initiative. My role is to serve as liaison between the 2 organizations. Sister City International has set a goal of establishing 500 new sister cities or city pairs over the next 5 years. And the World Conference of Mayors is proposing to assist in bringing that goal to reality. So we're waiting now for an MOU between our 2 organizations to be signed. And yesterday there was a board meeting. I've not been able to determine so far what the outcome was. And then about 3 years ago, I got involved with the Africa Brain Bank. I'm now STEM coordinator for that organization. We just had our most recent conference in Los Angeles. The year before, we were in Atlanta, and next year we're in Lagos, Nigeria. So I'm inviting you guys to come to Lagos next year in November, and I'll provide you with more details. Registered I'm now going to talk a little bit about Refocus Africa. This is an organization that is essentially a Pan-African organization incorporated in Tanzania with the vision to identify, develop, and maximize potentials on the continent by connecting opportunities to resources. We were registered in Tanzania in 2020. Dr. Sunshine, who's on this call, is our CEO. Dr. Lisa is a co-founder and board member. And there's another gentleman here in Houston, James Allen, who owns an organization called, I got James' organization. It's a school.
Knowledge First.
Knowledge First, thank you. Ms. Lisa's gonna help me out as we go through this. James is in Dubai. He should be returning to Houston today. So we're looking forward to having him back. We aim to support global initiatives by implementing transformative projects and programs focusing on agriculture, clean water, energy, housing, education, sports, training, and business development. So you see, we have quite a portfolio of activity. We're not limited to Tanzania and Zanzibar. We operate in about 15 countries, and Dr. Sunshine would be able to actually name them. I can probably name half of them. I put the web address for the organization down below in case someone want to visit it. So what is it we do? At Refocus Africa, our mission is to serve as a catalyst that bridges nations, cultures, and communities across the vibrant tapestry of the African continent. That's what we are about. We are committed to igniting positive change, fostering sustainable development, and nurturing a sense of unity among Africans and the diaspora. Through our unwavering dedication, we strive to create an inclusive platform that transcends borders. And our timing is good because the AU has recently invented a new non-border kind of relationship among the 54 countries in Africa. I think we were a little bit ahead of them, but we're glad. In fact, we have meetings with the AU coming up in November, where we're hoping to build a stronger connection with that organization. And by fostering collaboration, empowerment, and knowledge sharing, we aim to inspire and mobilize individuals, organizations, governments to address the challenge and opportunities that lie ahead collectively. We're recognized as one of Africa's foremost opportunity brokers. We have garnered a strong reputation relative to investment, and our portfolio investments is mining, agriculture, real estate, education, and sports, along with media and entertainment. At Refocus Africa, and we now call ourselves Refocus Africa Group because we have a number of subsidiary organizations and affiliations, we are driven by an unwavering commitment to the well-being and prosperity of African communities. That is the bottom line of why we exist. Our strategic approach to leveraging guides our every endeavor, ensuring that our needs of the people, or their needs, we serve at the highest. And I have to move the screen. I can't see beyond this point. Let's see how we do that. Okay. Our strategic approach to leveraging partnerships guides our every endeavor, ensuring that the needs of the people we serve are at the heart of our projects and programs. Refocus Africa supports country development, and that is the country development's agendas through targeted agriculture, education, training, and infrastructure interventions. How do we work? By leveraging our expertise, resources, and partnerships. We aim to contribute to the country's socioeconomic progress, enhance livelihoods, and create sustainable opportunities for their people. We have multiple fundraising mechanism options through various partnerships, including but not limited to our geopolitical consulting partners and investors. And I'll share some of those partners with you shortly. We look forward to working closely with governments, universities, local communities, and other stakeholders to implement these initiatives and achieve tangible results for the progress and prosperity of the nations. We believe that together we can build a brighter, more prosperous future for the continent. These are leaders in our organization. You heard from Dr. Sunshine and Dr. Oconee. We may be losing Dr. Stephanie. She was with us for a while. She may be moving on. And recently we brought on a general counsel or chief counsel, Brother Everestus, who is Cameroonian, just admitted to the readmitted to the Cameroonian bar maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And then, of course, 2 of our board members, myself and James Allen, who I just mentioned, who is an educational nonprofit leader guy. I said something earlier about some of our partners, and some of them you may recognize. TransitX is a transportation company. Dr. Lisa has spearheaded that initiative and may want to say a word or two about what that program is and where it is now being rolled out. But it is a novel transportation process or technique where people are moved above ground on cables, much like, what is it called when you go to the forest and you glide across on these guide rails? What's the term for that? Help me.
Zip lines.
Zip lining. TransitX is a commercial transportation system that uses that same technology and allows one to maneuver and transport around very busy cities. And most of the capital cities in Africa are very concentrated in terms of populations. Knowledge First, I mentioned already, is actually headquartered here in Houston, Texas. RAS, Waste Technologies and Urban Housing Development, is our partners that help us with building residential and commercial buildings. OMO Energy and Technology, Inc. is a Baltimore-based company that has a solar energy system that we'll be implementing as part of the city we're developing in northern Tanzania. Future Agribusiness Limited, Fertile Ground Holding Limited, the Pan-African Agency for the Great Green Wall. And that organization has now become a program of the Africa Union. And that's what we'll be talking about when we meet some of the African Union leaders in Nigeria next month. We've taken Western Kentucky University to Akwa, which is located in Nigeria. We have students who have matriculated at Western Kentucky. We now want to work with some HBCUs. Had a conversation yesterday with the provost at Texas Southern. He is interested in exploring a relationship. The Nigerian University Commission, which is the overseer, much like in Texas, it's called the Coordinating Board for Higher Education. West African and South American Alliance, and then this law firm at the bottom, Lazar Farid, is a Paris-based law firm with offices in a number of the Francophone Africa countries. We are now getting ready to close on a 1,000-acre piece of land in the northern Tanga region. The region that we will be working in is called Pangani. And of course, since Dr. Sunshine is on the ground, he's the guy negotiating the deal. Mr. Allen and I flew over last year because we thought we had a deal only to find out that the leadership of the village that owned the land that we had made a deal for decided to raise the price, and they wanted equity in the business. We declined, and that trip kind of forced us to use our time wisely. We had a chance to go to Dodoma, which is the relatively new capital of Tanzania, where we met with a number of ministers and were able to get some business conducted while we were there. We've worked with African-American business folks doing business in Tanzania, and I listed a few. Knowledge First, which Dr. Lisa leads, is currently operating in Tanzania. Ward Holding Africa is a cashew exporter. They are mostly working in New Orleans right now, shipping cashews, finished products from Tanzania to New Orleans, and most of their products are now in retail stores across New Orleans. They're getting ready for an IPO in February, and if you're interested in investing, I can certainly connect you with that organization. James Gray Inc. is a company that takes the shells from cashews, crush them, collect the oil, and it's a very highly sought after oil, and they sell it in China and India. Unfortunately, James's business does not, for the moment, overlap with Ward Holding, because Ward is simply, for the moment, getting rid of their shells, and they're not in the same region in Tanzania. So far, they haven't worked out a deal for getting their shells from Ward Holding. There's a young brother I met very recently over at Rice University, lives in Houston, calls himself DJ the Money Coach. DJ has bought properties in Tanzania, or primarily in Zanzibar, and is currently building a 4-unit townhouse in an area called Paje, which is a very touristy location where lots of folks will show up 6 months out of the year to do aerial kite flying. I think it's called kite skiing. James was bold enough to try it. I simply watched. Ron Blanks is a brother that Dr. Lisa introduced me to. His company is called Building Dreams, and he owns a property in Fumba Town, where, along with a partner, I purchased the property about 3 years ago. And then we're building a STEM school in collaboration with STEM NOLA, run by a young brother, Dr. Calvin Mackey. The Timbuktu Academy, started 30 years ago by Dr. Diola Bagayoko at Southern, and Knowledge First, again, James Allen's organization. This is a photo of Fumba Town. So somewhere in this cluster of buildings is an apartment that my partner and I own. That's where Ron also owns the property, and DJ owns several properties in that development. On the right is just an example of what one of those properties looked like. So you see that Africa looks a little different than most people have been led to believe. This, to me, looks quite modern because the Fumba Town development has now a shopping center, a couple of restaurants, a school, a health center. It is as modern as Houston. It's a relatively small development, but it's continuing to grow because the owners own quite a bit of land. They are now building what's called Burj, which is a wood structure. It's the tallest wood building of its sort in the world. My partner and I are negotiating buying one of the properties, one of the apartments in this building. It is still under development and is a marble. They use a laminated wood that gives it the strength to build as tall as In this case, I think this is 91 meters tall. So how can African Americans, particularly folks in the diaspora in general, participate in what we are trying to do in Africa? Because part of our initiative is to bring the diaspora to Africa. Now, I mentioned Africa's Brain Bank. That organization has a different kind of premise. It says most folks will never go to Africa, but they can lend their brains to the development of the country. So we are about building a major database that would capture the skills and the knowledge that people like those on this call have, so that we can match you up, or your brain up, with challenges on the continent. So without you going, you can participate in developing the continent. So Refocus Africa is seeking investors for our residential properties. We have a few people who have already made commitments and made down payments. Refocus Africa is seeking additional partners for our STEM school. And Ward, I mentioned that Ward Holding Africa is doing an IPO in February. They're looking for investors. They are proposing a $2 billion IPO in February. I mentioned DJ was building this 4-unit townhome property in Paje. My partner and I have Airbnb our 2-bedroom apartment. So when you're ready to go to Zanzibar, just let us know and we'll have a spot for you. I threw this in. The William R. Tarbert Baptist University is an institution that opens next month. I'm on the board of trustees, and the president just flew out from DC, where he lived, to Monrovia, Liberia, 3 days ago. So he's there now, preparing to start school in November. And then A More Perfect Union should consider affiliating with the World Conference of Mayors. You heard me say a few words about them a few minutes ago. So that's what I wanted to share with this group. I hope that something that was said might be interesting to you. And if it is, you have Lisa, Dr. Sunshine, you'll have James Allen, and you have me to communicate with. And I'll put all of our email addresses in the chat before we close out today. So I would be very happy to answer questions, particularly since I have the help of Dr. Lisa and Dr. Sunshine. Anybody have any curiosities?
Dr. Ford.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if any of you have encountered in your travels to Africa a young man named Calvin Johnson. Played football for the Detroit Lions, is surely going to be a Hall of Famer. He graduated from Georgia Tech University, and he started a business after he retired, furthering water resources. I'm not sure in what country, but that was going to be his main focus after he retired, or once he retired, was to develop means of long-term water resources on the continent. Again, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he's easy to find.
We're very interested in connecting others from the diaspora. Mr. Allen and I will be heading out on a 5-country excursion November 2nd. And we'll be visiting universities in Rwanda, where neither of us have been before. We'll be going to Nigeria. We'll be going especially to Abuja, Lagos, and Akwa Ibom in that country. We have a relationship with a university in Akwa Ibom, and we'll be meeting with them again. In fact, we attended they have a high school as well, and we attended their commencement when we went there in 2022. We'll be going to Liberia, Kenya, and of course, Tanzania and Zanzibar. You may not know the relationship between Tanzania and Zanzibar, because sometimes we don't show them as separate countries, because those two used to be separate countries are now under a republic. The Republic of Tanzania includes Tanganyika, which is the mainland portion of the republic, and the island of Zanzibar, and it gets even more complicated because Zanzibar is a series of islands. One of the islands, Pemba, is as big as Zanzibar. So it's an interesting area of the world. I'd love to meet Calvin Johnson, so if you can help me find him, we can connect. Because we want to connect all of the diasporans, African diasporans, who are in Africa, who want to be in Africa, and we want to share what we know about it. The World Conference of Mayors has made Africa its #1 focus these days, and has added a number of African mayors to its board of directors. And by the way, Dr. Lisa and I are both board members of the World Conference of Mayors. Anybody know Johnny Ford, mayor of Tuskegee? Was for many years. No? He is the CEO of the World Conference of Mayors. We just affiliated with the National Business League.
Well, I mean, if you haven't talked to Kim about his girl yet.
I didn't hear that. Repeat it. I was saying that we have recently affiliated with the National Business League, which, by the way, was founded by Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee 100 years ago. And the National Business League that was headquartered in Washington recently moved its headquarters to Tuskegee. And at a recent conference in Atlanta, we had a chance to spend a day at Tuskegee, where we did a ribbon cutting to open a new office of the National Business League. The National Black Chamber of Commerce is an affiliate. In fact, at that conference in Atlanta, we formed the new National Association of Black Businesses and have added a number of additional Black business organizations to the array that started with the National Business League, the National Black Chamber, and the World Conference of Mayors. Any questions? I know I used to be a college professor. Am I really that clear? Been a long time though.
Well, I'd like to jump in, Dr. Ford, and say thank you. I think that it has been a really great presentation. And I'd just like to add a few things, if I may, regarding Refocus Africa. Again, I'm Dr. Lisa Sylvester Oconee, co-founder and president of Refocus Africa. I'd just like to give you a little bit of more insight on some of the things. I spent about 90% of my time in Tanzania at the headquarters and the other 10% in Houston, Texas. And I think one of the reasons why Mr. Omawale invited Refocus Africa to this call is because I met him many years ago, back in 2004, when I first came to Houston, and he was working with a group of sending young children to Africa. And at that time, I was the mother of 5. My kids were pretty small then, children that were half Senegalese. I spent 9 years in Senegal. I've been to and done business in 35 of the 54 African countries. And when we met, he actually asked me if I could assist him with helping to prepare the parents for their bringing their children to Africa. I thought it was a wonderful idea that they were doing this already back in 2004. It was helping to bridge the gap, something that when I was living on the continent, I really wanted to do. And that's how we connected. I recently got in touch with him and was letting him know some of the things that we were doing and wanted to see how we could honor all of the silent work that he had been doing for the inner city kids and really exposing them to their ancestors' heritage. And it really was just about, we have so many people in our community that are doing great things, but never get rewarded for. And at Refocus Africa, I wanted the people on the continent to know about his work. I wanted to be able to enhance his work here in America. And that's what my phone call and conversation was about to him. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to honor him, but this is a start. I'd like for Dr. Sunshine to kind of really go in detail about some of our current activities. My role started how Refocus Africa was created. Knowledge First, which is the school Dr. Ford talked about, is located here in Houston, Texas. And I have been doing volunteer work for them since 2005. And it's a private nonprofit school, accredited K through 12. What happens is that we focus mainly on those who have dropped out of high school. So we started off being able to offer the high school diploma instead of a GED to students at any age. And I thought this was a fantastic thing because, back in the 80s and the 90s, early on, we could say we graduated, there was no internet, and we didn't have anybody to contradict what we said. So we could get jobs, even with the State Department. We didn't have to have all those proofs. So a lot of those workers that are working for the state now have been there for more than 20 years are now being promoted. And so now that they're being promoted, they're saying, hey, we need your high school diploma to offer you this promotion. And many of them can't produce the high school diploma because they dropped out of school for whatever reason. So Knowledge First has been there for those. Some people even get fired. Some people now are fighting it, can't be fired, but they just can't get the promotion. So Knowledge First has been there to offer an opportunity for people to receive their high school diploma. Well, having 5 children and many of them raised in Africa, I knew how difficult it was for African students coming to the universities in America and in first world nations. I said, this is an opportunity to take the high school diploma to them so that when they're ready to leave Africa and come to America or any first world nation, they don't have to repeat their last year. They can just take the American high school diploma, go straight to the universities. I mean, we have students that are getting 1590s and 1580s out of 1600s on the SATs, and their problem is they don't have money to go to universities. So at Refocus Africa, before Refocus Africa even started, I was out there helping students get the American high school diploma. Fortunately, I had been in Pawtucket for about 3 years when I met Dr. Sunshine, and he, as a leadership and entrepreneurship coach, had his own business going in various things. Believe it or not, as an African-American woman, a lot of the doors were being shut in my face. I was going from country to country, trying to really work this high school diploma. It was such an awesome program. I thought people would jump on it. But being an African-American, I wasn't really looked upon as someone that could be trusted in Africa. They were always wondering, what do you want from us? They considered me as white, but my face wasn't white enough to trust. And then I wasn't born African. Didn't matter that I had raised 5 children that were half Senegalese and had spent all this time going back and forth to Africa since the early 80s. They didn't care that I had this Pan-African attitude. The door was shut to me. And so I got with Dr. Sunshine, what he was doing. We partnered with one another. And by him being a born African and an African face, trusting an African-American, it became more acceptable for people to listen to what I had to offer. And we decided to combine what he was doing and what I was trying to do on the continent and to create Refocus Africa. And the moment we did that, the door opened up. I mean, it was like a domino effect. We started hitting countries, the countries opening up satellite locations for Knowledge First for students to get the American high school diploma. We started partnering with universities back in first world nations, saying, hey, give our students some scholarship opportunities because we were proving their SAT scores. And that's really how Refocus Africa started throughout Africa, was with their educational piece. And now we have partners from South Africa to East Africa to West Africa, and now working on some of the stable countries in Central Africa to establish educational partnerships. I just wanted to share with you guys what we're doing in education. We also have programs and projects on ground. We have people who have decided they wanted to bring families to Tanzania to live. When we first got there in 2019, it was about 500 people in the diaspora. We have over 5,000 now. Tanzania was not one of those countries who suffered with the pandemic. We didn't have any COVID going on over there. So a lot of people were rushing to the mainland of Tanzania and Zanzibar. And a lot of people just stayed there with their families. And so visa became an issue for people in the diaspora. So Refocus Africa said, since we were incorporated there, hey guys, if you volunteer to teach English as a second language to some of these primary schools and their school children, we will give you participation in voluntary visas. So some of the diasporans have been able to settle and now live there with their families because they came through programs that Refocus Africa established with education just in a place where Swahili is the primary language, having native English speakers. However, now, since 2017, they have English in the high schools and university level as the language spoken in education. Just wanted to give you that little background. We do have 17 educational, in 15 countries, we have educational projects at the elementary level all the way to the high school level going on in one of those countries. I would like for Dr. Sunshine to come in, talk a little bit about, before that, I'm sorry, let me touch on the transportation system that Dr. Ford talked about. It actually is a podway system. It's 100% green, solar powered. And I've been meeting with various vice presidents and presidents throughout Africa, signing agreements to connect these podway systems so that the boundaries of Africa that has been broken up, believe it or not, if you live in West Africa and you want to get to Central Africa, which should just take you a couple hours away, it could take you a day and a half because you have to actually go to Europe and then come back to Central Africa. We had a meeting with some of our members who went to Mauritania, and they had their next meeting in Chad. And if you look at the map, Mauritania and Chad is so close, but it took them a day and a half of flight time because the way the Europeans have broken up and have controlled Africa to the point we can't even travel freely within Africa without somehow having to access first world nations. So this transportation system podway that TransitX brings gives us the opportunity not only within the city to be able to connect rural to urban areas. It helps to eliminate congestion, get rid of some of the transportation, high fuel costs. And we're looking as we build these podways to be able to have that land available for agricultural, which can actually give us access to more food, water projects. This transportation opens up a door for a lot of things because as we bring Transit X and the Podway rail system into Africa, we train local people how to build it. So we use the resources, human resources of the local people, giving them the skill sets. And then after we train them how to build it, we hire them. So they're vested because they're the ones who will be building the rail system versus having the Asians come in with a lot of debt and ownership of the land and the rail system and the connectivity. What's different about Transit X, our partners, is that we bring a rail system that is fully funded, meaning the government doesn't have to pay one dime, privately funded. So Refocus Africa is out there on the ground, getting the fundings for this billion-dollar rail system to go up to be able to offer to the country. And we just want to share with you some of the work that we're doing, invite you to come on board, join hands. If education is not your thing, if transportation is not, maybe some form of way of getting involved in agriculture. We're looking at expanding to HBCUs. I am a graduate of Tennessee State University. We approached the HBCUs first. They didn't really see it. I think they think that we had to bring a PWI on board first, which we don't have a problem doing that. That's why we bought Western Kentucky University to Africa, to show that it's possible and that it's legit. And now, hopefully we're starting to have some traction with some of the HBCUs, because we'd like in agriculture for some of their students to be able to get their last semester or last year, take a study abroad program, come and work the farms that we have in Africa and do the technology transfer. And it gives the students here in America an opportunity to see. Dr. Ford just showed you pictures of what some of our places look like in Zanzibar, to see that there's not just lions and elephants running around Africa. Yes, we have safaris, but we have so much more than that. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of that. I won't talk too much because I would love for Dr. Sunshine to talk about the city of Ra. But for any questions.
Let me ask Cassie, how much more time do we have, Cassie? Because I know your meetings were usually 1 hour and we're right at.
Right, we've got about till 12:15, 12:20.
Okay. So
all right, but I would like to say this, Dr. Lisa, you just gave us a lot of stuff to digest. Is your website attached to the chat?
Yes, sir. RefocusAfrica.com.
All right.
And Africa is spelled with a K, not a C.
The original way. Gotcha. Now, Dr. Ford, you said something interesting, and that I'd like to just kind of devil's advocate thing. You mentioned the political unrest and some of the trouble that it had caused you all in the early stages of at least one of your projects. Being ex-military, I follow what's going on the continent pretty heavily, because as far as the military is concerned, Africa is the next, is very strategic. Let me just say that. About the unrest and all of the coups and takeovers that have been happening in the last year and a half. Speak to how that affects the mindset of somebody over here who might want to invest in one of those countries.
Well, obviously, we know what just happened in Gabon. We know what could happen in Burkina Faso. There are a number of countries where there's a bit of unsettlement.
In Nigeria.
Well, Nigeria has cooled down. That was
for the moment.
Yeah, that was an issue around removing the subsidies on gasoline and fuels that did cause some unrest right after the new president was installed. But that's, I keep telling people, we have to look a little closer at what our situation in America is now.
And that was my next question, Dr. Ford. A lot of these initiatives are wonderful. I'm with them. But how can we scale those things to activity here in America?
I'll let Dr. Lisa handle that question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do see someone's hand raised. I really want to acknowledge you. But getting to that, Refocus Africa, we're boots on the ground. So we work in countries. I'll give you an example. We were in Mali. And when Mali decided to stand up and say, no more. So please understand, a lot of what you hear in the media is not actually what's going on the ground. A lot of it is to deter. Yes, there are coups that are going on. And it's because of a country like Niger decided to say to France, you cannot have our uranium anymore for 80 cents.
Miss Dr. Lisa, let me just interject this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just have a cursory understanding of what's going on the continent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my background in the military has been in intelligence, and once you're in the community, you always in the community. So I hear everything about what's going on in Africa, and I know the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And most Americans don't have any idea of the real deal. All they're getting is what they're getting through the media. And 80% of our media sources are not to be trusted. But
I agree, sir.
Information I got is to be trusted. So I'm not trying to dissuade anybody, because I'd like to, at some point I'd like to invest. I mean, that beachfront property, those beachfront properties looked amazing.
Yes,
the
sir.
structures looked amazing.
We are dealing at Refocus Africa, the countries that we're working in and we're encouraging and planning our investments in are countries that have politically been stable for a long time. Tanzania is a great country surrounded by 8 other countries. And we encourage those who are coming on board to do investments. We keep them out of those countries that are unstable. Like Dr. Ford said, there's a lot going on here in America. My encouragement is we're building this city, the city of Ra, and we're building it, and Ra stands for Refocus Africa. We're building it so the diasporans will have a place, a safe place to come back home to, invest in, have property to live in, grow, be a part of, whether you want to have a property for investment, you want to make a retirement, you want to do a business, you want to make it for your grandkids. Everyone has a different interest for Africa. And at Refocus Africa, we're just saying, contact us. We're boots on the ground. We're at the level of the presidency. The president is actually hosting us in Tanzania. That's why our company is there and headquartered there.
Okay. Now, let me say, you wanted to acknowledge somebody with their hand up. That's Miss McCrary. You still have a question?
I'm fascinated. I couldn't find the link until about 20 minutes in. And I want to learn more about this aspect of it, because I have African sons and daughters in Muse Halu, who is from Ethiopia. I've hosted a lot of people from Africa because of the organization that I've been a part of, an international organization called the United Religions Initiative, which is an interfaith NGO. And I have met these people since 1997, and Africa. And I've always wanted to go. As a child of the diaspora, you know, my father talked about Haile Selassie's when I was 6 and told me about the Africa that is being overwhelmed by colonizers. I went for the first time this summer in June for 13 days to Rwanda, and was, oh my God. I mean, you know, it makes me cry sometimes, because when I came from my hotel room down to the foyer, my sons and daughters from Tanzania, from, like I said, Ethiopia, my daughter from Uganda, who helped with the first fair voting a few years ago. I mean, these are my children that I see on a regular basis, but I had never been to Africa. And being part of this organization as the only African American trustee and founder, they sent me everywhere else, but I said, I want to go to Africa. And those colonizers just weren't having it. They just weren't having it. And so Monday, I introduced Bob to Freddie Mutangua, who is with the Aegis Trust in Rwanda. And we talked about dismantling hatred, and not from a Western philosophy, but from an African perspective. And I just know that I'm supposed to be there. And I've been asked to go teach a semester at one of the high schools in Rwanda, which I really want to do. But again, it's about being able to afford in the transportation. My daughter went with me, and she couldn't get to Rwanda from Tanzania because it was going to cost us another $800 because of the traffic. So I really want to be a part of this, Dr. Lisa, Dr. Sunshine, in a way that uses the fact that I have relationships already in Africa, a place to lay my head if I want to go somewhere, you know, and not worry about any of the things that they try and say to you about Africa. It's not safe. And I know that I will be treated kindly and with reverence. I mean, I'm an elder now, and wanting to make sure that my grandson knows about Africa by touching the soil itself. So I want to take him back with me, because that's our future. And I'm a firm believer in what I call the 7th generation strategy, which, you know, the Iroquois Nation gets credit for in this country, using that law of being careful of what you do today by learning from our history, and so that we can have a stronger and more enduring future. And as a storyteller, a journalist, I really want to get these narratives down, not for them, but for us, our stories for us. And so this just buoys my heart. I would love to have some further conversations, and I will put my information in the chat for anybody that wants to reach out to me.
Okay, Ms. McCrary, thank you for your comments. And surely this has been a very interesting day of information. I mean, it's been a whole bunch of information, great information. Unfortunately, I've been left with the unenviable role of having to make sure that this thing goes according to schedule. We have one other hand that's raised. Boosie? Hello, Busi, B-U-S-I. Your hand was raised.
While Busi is coming, I just want to say the following, and I'll be done. We're looking for partners like you, Bob, with your intelligence background, like PK, with her storytelling and media savvy.
Greetings, how you doing? I'm doing a plethora of things at once. I'm driving. I had it on mute because I didn't want y'all to hear, noise while I'm driving. Greetings, my name is Busi Peters-Morn, and I am an educator and the CEO and founder of Seeker Imports, as well as Woo Women Healing and Empowering Women, Arts Healing 501c3 reentry program. I've been going back and forth to the continent since '88. I've taught in Nairobi, which is where I started my import-export business with women in Machakos, in Kitui area of Machakos, and I've taught in Ethiopia, and I've taught in Sudan. I was just in Kemet for a month with my children, and the work that I've been doing has been all about everything that you're talking about. It's all about bridging the gap between Africans in the continent and Africans in the diaspora. And I have a lot of programs that I'm working on in order to do that work, and was looking for folks like yourselves. Y'all came on and y'all had a lot to say. However, where do we go from here to be able to connect with y'all going further? Because I know that I want to honor the time. So I'm very interested in knowing, where do we go from here? And how do I'm able to connect? There's several of you that I want to talk to and connect with, because unlike Mama PK, I've been going to the continent before it was Vogue to do the work. But I've been going since the 80s and had this knowledge and belief system and of the importance of us knowing that the continent will not be free until we of the diaspora go there, and we won't be free until we go to the continent. And all the things that are happening with the Asians and the Russians is happening because we're not there. And so if we don't want those things to happen, we have to get there. And I'm looking forward to building with you all.
Okay, we meet every second and fourth Saturday of every month. We don't anticipate on having a meeting in November, which is typically the time frame when we don't have a meeting. But what I'm going to say right now is that everybody's who's on here today, from Dr. Lisa to Dr. Ford, everybody's on here. Mr. Ngele, Dr. Sunshine Silas, Dr. Bradley, Dr. Talupe Dewadu, everybody's who's on here today. Look forward to an invitation very soon. And I don't know what everybody's December is like, but I would like to have you all back so we got this stuff warm in our minds. As we say in the church, while the blood's still running warm in your veins. Let's get back on this to answer Sister Busi's question, and I'm sure everybody else has some questions. Ms. Bradley, do you second that emotion?
Agreed.
All right, because we're at our contractually agreed upon time, and we don't want to get Ms. Bradley in any trouble. But I am inviting, on behalf of Mr. Omowale and for a More Perfect Union group, if all of the More Perfect Union group who's here chimes in and says amen, we'll reboot this in December. The More Perfect Union folks say something. Let me know how you feel about it.
Man.
Good.
Reach out to us. My number's in the chat. My email's in the chat. Refocus Africa, Africa with the K.com. All of our information is there.
All right, and thank you, Dr. Lisa, for all of the information. Dr. Silas, I'm sorry that we didn't get an opportunity for you to speak, but we do want you to have something to say on the way out, but give me just a second. Again, everybody who's on here today, this is a lot of information, a lot of great information. Dr. Lisa and Dr. Ford, I don't want y'all to think I was trying to rain on the parade, because I'm about the continent as much as anybody is. So we want to get as satiated with this information as we can, so that we all who have an opportunity and a desire to want to act on it can do so. So we have all your information. Dr. Ford, I'm going to give you a call at some point during the week so you and I can chat.
Okay.
And I may do that as well with you, Dr. Lisa, if you have some time. And let's have everybody do a quick one-word checkout, starting with Dr. Ford.
Wait, before we do a checkout, I just want to remind everyone, we are meeting November the 18th for Mickey Leland, his memorial. It's going to be between the Zoo and Miller Theater. It's between 12 p.m. and 12:30 p.m. We welcome that you come. It's just a memorial that we do every year traditionally.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bradley. I apologize. I was about to slip over that.
My
Go
word,
ahead.
my word is exhilarated.
All right, thank you. Ms. Page.
My word, like usual, unity and community. And I look forward to moving forward and progressing and just networking with those who are interested in furthering humanity and us as a people.
Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to put my hand up before we go. If you can hear me, this is Patrick Forciori, and I'm with Mr. Judon Boney
Yes,
over
sir.
here. We both greatly enjoyed the presentation. I was the one that digitized the archives for the Mickey Leland Archives at TSU, so I look forward to being at that November 18th thing. And this year, one of the research papers that I did was an analysis of maternal mortality between women of color in the state of Texas versus sub-Saharan Africa. It's an in-depth analysis on the state of healthcare, of health with African women in sub-Saharan Africa. I'm currently at the University of Houston College of Medicine in the library, inaugural supervisor of the library. One in Houston, you're more than welcome to come by. But I'll send that research report over to you within the next couple of days or so, and you can publish it out to your committee. Mr. Boney, would you want to say something? Say hi.
Well, I just want to say hello, and I feel blessed and impressed that this is going forward. So I can support it, help out in any way. Y'all know how to contact me. Good to hear from Dr. Ford, one of my teachers. Thank you, sir. You're he made me have to work on it. Good to see you here.
Good to hear from you, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, likewise, Dr. Boney, or Brother Boney, and Mr. Patrick. It's good to hear from you, Dr. Boney. And Mr. Patrick, quickly, before we get out of here, man, if you got a link to your email address or something like that, post it in the chat so folk will be able to get in touch with you. I see Sister Joetta Stevenson's hand up, sister. We're at our checkout word point at this point. So if you have a comment, you'll have to unfortunately hold it until the next time. But
okay,
go ahead.
amazed.
All right.
Amazed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sister Superville, check out for us.
I started with emerge, but I'd like to end with collaboration because this is something that needs to be joined together. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Carlicia from Women Empowering Nations. So glad that you joined us today.
Thank you, Sister Superville. Nancy Edwards. Nancy, give us a checkout, please.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ted, no doubt. E. Porter.
Yes, good morning. This is Eric Porter, Southern University, creating sustainable neighborhood developers, invited by Dr. Ford. I'm strictly impressed and got everything under observation. Good to be
Thank
here.
you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Porter. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get some feedback from you during the course of the get together. We'll, check back in, man. You know how to get us now, so you can jump in any second and fourth Saturday.
No doubt.
All right, Mr. Tarleson, give us a one-word checkout, please.
Blessing, blessing. This is a blessing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Dawadu Chalupe.
Thank you. This was great. My one word is opportunity. There's so many opportunities on the continent, so many. So my one word will be opportunity. Thank you to all the presenters.
Thank you. Dr. Sunshine Silas. Dr. Silas, you still with us? Go ahead and check out Mr. Ndele.
Yeah, this is Dr. Carlo Kalungele, the CEO of Carlo Kalungele Foundation. So glad to be here. We all believe in empowerment and collaboration to bring development to Africa. Thank you very much, Dr. Ford, and every other person. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Silas, go ahead now.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure to be on the call. My one word exit would be possibilities. The possibilities are limitless on the continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silas. Ms. Page?
I think I've already gone.
Did you?
But again, thank you. Yes, but again, thank you for the presentation and the information. I'll be reaching out. I definitely see opportunity as well.
No doubt about it. Did I miss anybody?
Me.
Okay, Ms. McCrary, go ahead.
Courage.
Say that again.
Courage.
Yeah. That's what it's going to take. Absolutely. Day in and day out. Look, folk, I'm sorry. Again, this is the unenviable task of
My
having.
one word, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Davis.
Did I miss you, Dr. Lisa? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Of course, my one word is refocus.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Keep us focused on that refocus. Dr. Ford, I didn't miss you, did I, brother?
I think you did, but no, I did my word.
All right. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay.
What's your word?
My one word checkout is love. Everything we're talking about accomplishing today can be accomplished if we look at it through the specter of love. That's my one word checkout.
Yeah, my one word checkout is building.
Okay, sister. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Ms. Brandley, thank you for your shepherding of this event. We look forward to having everybody back on the second Sunday second Sunday. I'm giving myself away. The second Saturday of December, which would be the 9th. The 9th, and that may be the final one for the year until the new year. But we'll be keeping you up to date on that. Again, thank everybody. I appreciate your expertise. Dr. Lisa?
Excuse me, sir, just for clarity, did you say that, as I shared with you, I was driving and I'm finally still now. So did you say November 9th would be the next time y'all will be meeting?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The next time, we may or may not have another meeting in November. We have a get together in November at the Mickey Leland statue.
At the Mickey Leland statue in Herman Park on November 9th. Was that November 19th?
November 18th.
November 18th.
November 18th. And what's the time?
12 to 12:30.
12:30. Okay, thank you.
All right. And so we'll keep everybody posted.
All right.
We'll keep everybody posted. On the next meeting date, we want to have everybody jump right back in, and we want to keep this going while it's hot.
All
right. And like I was saying, Dr. Lisa, my wife is an educator, so she recently retired, but she's looking for something to do.